Can you dive into a little bit when you said rather than thinking like an entrepreneur, you were kind of like alleging to like thinking more like an investor or private equity firm. How have you been able to do that, and how do you approach deals that way?
Yeah, well, now it's totally different. Like a lot of people in our mastermind, for instance, somebody was saying today, which sectors can I get financing on enough with an SBA loan or with another loan in order to buy? And I was like, wrong question. But because that's actually not the most important thing. The most important thing is it a profitable business? You're looking at it like an asset, right? That's the difference when you're an investor versus an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, you're like, what's the problem I want to fix in the world? What's the solution I think we should have? When you're an investor, you're like, what are the, show me the money, right? Like, what are the numbers? So, you know, for me, it was, okay, say I want to make $100,000 on a business. I want to replace my W-2 wage and I want to go out and start a business. Then what I'm looking for is not a jewelry making business because that's my passion. I'm not looking for like a jobby. I'm looking for something that actually gives me 100K in the door. So that is, I think, the biggest difference is we as investors, we don't really, I don't buy bonds because I love the underlying company that the bond comes from, right? I'm like, that doesn't even matter. I buy a bond because it has the right return profile and risk profile that I want. And I think in the same thing with a house. Like when you're buying a house to invest in, are you ever like, ooh, like I could picture myself in here in the living room? You're like, no, no, no. Does it fit the right metrics? Is it going to have the right risk and return on it? And if it does, then I'll buy it and then I'll cash flow on it. And I think in the future, businesses will be more like that. And instead of me, yeah, I don't love, I own a podcast production company, for instance, Strike Fire Productions. And I don't know anything about audio engineering. I don't know anything about the business overall. But I got into that business because it was making about $120,000 in profit. And the guy was walking away from it. He didn't want the business. And so, when I came in, I invested in that business $10,000 and now own 40% of it because I optimized the processes behind that business. And now I have a great operator in there, Jonathan Small, who runs it. And so that is the main difference is you take the passion out of it and you think like an investor about the profit, and then you get passionate about making that profit, or you get passionate about growing the business, or you get passionate about marketing some aspect of the business, but it doesn't have to be the overall business that you're obsessed with.
That's super interesting. I appreciate diving into that and the fact that you can, like your example of taking over a particular business that someone is just going to walk away from. They were burnt out, and for 10K, optimizing it and putting the right GM in there, you end up with 40% of the business, which is a win-win-win for everybody. No one out there is going to say, "Oh, you ripped him off." Well, he was just going to walk away from it. And I think what's really important when you think about buying a business, it is an asset. And so it's maybe it's a different type of asset than say stocks, bonds, buying real estate or whatever it might be, but it is an asset. And when you approach it that way, I think you're thinking about it perfectly in that, hey, I don't necessarily care what it's in, but I'm passionate about growing the business. I'm passionate about my lifestyle, right? And if your lifestyle is
Exactly.
X, then it funnels back into, well, your business will fund your lifestyle. I've always been to the belief, Codie, that we're in business to live, not like our businesses should run our
Totally.
life.